who provide food or we feed all of India. Punjab is on the verge or on the cusp of yet another revolution because there is a huge number of unemployed youth who are looking for industrialization, a pie, a share in the pie in this entire push for Bharat becoming a manufacturing hub. But for that, you need to have law and order under control. One of the big flips that a Yogi Adityanath this time around with the Global Investor Summit had was this issue of law and order seemed to be under control to try and get sentiment of the investors on ground. But what happened on a day when Punjab should be talking about the fact that this is perhaps the right destination, a destination that embraced the Green Revolution, a destination that is bringing out huge amounts of agricultural produce, is also perhaps can become the hub of industry and especially investment. The scenes that came on ground or that were witnessed looked straight out of a movie scene. What was witnessed on the streets of Punjab was shocking. Hundreds of Khalistan supporters marched on the streets of Amritsar and gherawed the Anjala police station. This self-styled religious preacher, Amritsar Singh, and his gang were seen breaking through barricades put up by the Punjab police, armed with swords and guns. This mob not just hijacked the police station but also issued open threat to the cops, asking them to release Amritpal's close aide Lavpreet Tufan, who had been arrested in an assault case. And that's not all. The Punjab police was caught napping. Why, you may ask? Amritsar Singh had issued a warning about this rally and this attempt to storm into a police station 4 days ago. He had openly threatened the cops. But still, nothing seemed to have been done on ground. The question now is, do these anti-India elements get such a free run in Punjab? And also, ladies and gentlemen, although the Chief Minister's office has said there are no orders for this Lavpreet to be released, CNN News 18 is given to understand that the commissioner there is on record stating that this man will be released in 24 hours because they don't have any evidence against him. That's the assurance he was seen given. This accused, Amritpal's aide, is in judicial custody. What will happen in the next 24 hours will be important. Will the Punjab cops blink and buckle? Will they turn around and tell the court, let him go because we've got nothing against this man? Somebody for whom you have seen anarchy on the streets, somebody for whom you are seeing these K-driven elements who are having a go at the law enforcement. Who is going to account for those cops who are just doing their duty, who've been beaten black and blue? Look at this. Do we want this again? Is this bringing a sense of deja vu and perhaps ominous peril in the minds of those who have seen those dark days in Punjab? Are we allowing history to repeat itself? Many people are asking this K Tandav free run or anti-India elements, why is it being allowed? Kamal Sohi, BJP spokesperson, Ramneek Maan, activist, and Rajinder Kumar, former special IB director, with us. Namaste and Jai Hind.
Namaskar.
कमल सोही जी, ये क्या पंजाब में हो क्या रहा है? एक तरफ सरकार सेंट्रल इंटेलिजेंस कहती है अमृतपाल को कोई सपोर्ट नहीं है, दूसरी तरफ ग्राउंड पे व्हाट वी सी इज शॉकिंग. ये तो कई सौ निकल के आ गए तलवार, बर्छा और ये बंदूक लेकर. कमल जी, Kamal Sohi ji, can you hear me? We'll try and connect with Kamal Sohi and figure that out in just a bit. But Rajinder Kumar ji, why is this being allowed? Law and order may be a state subject, but there is something called intelligence and national interest too.
आनंद जी, आप जो कह रहे हो बिल्कुल सही है. लॉ एंड ऑर्डर स्टेट सब्जेक्ट है, but central government in normal circumstances can only advise the state government. can advise the state government informally. It cannot act on behalf of the state government. And if it acts, the Kejriwal and company would drum up that, see how brutally they are interfering in our affairs. They are not allowing us. So, in fact, it is I'm sorry, because I was in Punjab at the most critical time. And 6 years I spent, and by 6 years I consider that was the most successful tenure of mine, when I established a brotherhood between the Sikhs and Hindus, which has totally broken down, and ensured that the Hindus come back who has gone out of the state. They come back and they settle down there. So I have a vested interest in Punjab, that it remains peaceful. But what I am today, I am most pained. In fact, I was waiting that your call may come. That the 90, 80 and 81 is being repeated. A person who has nothing to do with Sikhism, who claims himself Waris Punjab Day, who has taken Amrit only in 2022, not even a year back. He has become the religious leader. I do not know. It is just a plank. He is being propped up by some anti-Indian forces from outside. I'm sure if the intelligence will conduct proper inquiries, the state and the central intelligence, they will find that he is having a foreign sport. I assure you, Mr. Anand, that Punjab police, I found Punjab police, I have served in various north, south, east, west. I found Punjab police as the most competent police in the country. And if competent police like Punjab police, which has experience of these things, their leadership has experience of these things, if they are behaving like this, God save Punjab.
No, but
things are not far.
What is the reason that they are behaving like this, Kamal Soi? Punjab police.
Punjab is in a state of anarchism at this moment. Punjabis are in state of fear. You can see what is happening there. I could see one SSP is surrounded by the people with the open swords, and he could have been a target. And I have seen the shocking pictures in front of me. This is a serious law and order situation which has not come today. It started from the day Bhagwant Mann took over the reign of Punjab. You will remember in Patiala, Kali Mata Mandir was attacked in the similar way, and the bricks were thrown and the swords were brandished, and firing was done in the air. And after Bhagwant Mann took over, 250 odd murders have taken place in Punjab, and biggest one was the Sidhu Moosewala, then this Ambiya, then Rakesh Suri. The land order situation is not good, and the basic problem which I could see is the Punjab governance is failing, and Punjab, nobody knows who's governing, who's the chief minister. Someone says Bhagwant Mann is the chief minister, someone says Raghav Chadha, or the chain of command is coming from Kejriwal or Sanjay Pathak or people like this. Punjab police at this moment is demoralized, and the way they have been attacked today, it looks like I do not know which way the Punjab is going. And it is maybe the dark days of 90s and 80s. We are really fearful. It should not happen. But right now, this situation is not good, and it is the failure of Bhagwant Mann government and the intelligence as well.
Is it the failure of does it start, Ramnik Mann, let's call a spade a spade. Does it actually start only with Bhagwant Mann coming into becoming chief minister? Because this K movement has been going on for a while now. These K sentiment, K elements are there.
Well,
Amritsar maybe competing with another set of radicals. Deep Sidhu was there much before that. The kind of chants that were heard during his funeral were different. So does it actually start with the BJP and the centre giving a free run and free entry to Khalistanis into India?
Well, the answer to your question is an emphatic yes, Anand. Good evening to all the panelists and everybody around. There is an old English saying, they say, elect a clown and expect a circus, and that's precisely what we are saying, and this circus is a bloody circus, if I may dare to say so. Now, yes, this all started with the resignation of Captain Amrinder Singh as the Chief Minister of Punjab, Chani coming in, and then, the Aam Aadmi Party, if you refer to one of my interviews on the 11th of March 2022, that is one day after the Aam Aadmi Party was voted into power with a brute majority in Punjab. I had predicted all this. Now my point is, these are all experiments. They started with small, like the gentleman who spoke before me mentioned the Kali Mata temple, and then he mentioned, several murders, road revenges. This is how, the RPG attack on the intelligence building. There was a grenade thrown at a police post in Punjab. So there is a sequence of events which has led to this. These are all experiments. And the experiment is to test waters with how the police would react and how the people would react. And the aim of doing this is to normalize, number one, the stressful and the strained situation in Punjab that existed in the 80s, number one. Number two, to demoralize the police and to bring a high morale amongst the separatists, the Khalistani elements, and those miscreants who would want to destabilize Punjab. And I'm sorry to say that Punjab police, being a very potent force, has been reduced to mere, fence sitters or, spectators by Bhagwant Mann, who is the Home Minister of Punjab, Bhagwant Mann himself. Now my questions to Bhagwant Mann are very simple, Anand. Why are you allowing this to happen in Punjab? What are your reasons to give these people a free run? And like somebody rightly said before me, Varis Punjab De is a NGO, it's an organization, it's not a religious, it's not like SGPC or it's not like Sarbat Khalsa per se, it's an organization. Why do you allow somebody like Amritpal? The first time there was this young fellow wearing a pistol with Amritpal, that was a red flag. That was an immediate red flag, and I was very vocal about it. Yeah, license or not, weapons should not be allowed in these hands. Correct. And now you see tens of people moving about with him with weapons, and I must tell you this: the Bhagwant Mann government has issued over 100 licenses at the behest of Amritsar.
Is this current situation even in the hands of Bhagwant Mann? That's the question. Rajinder Kumarji, the fact is, did the centre make a big mistake when they took out the names of more than 300 Khalistani elements and allowed them a free passage back into India? Did the centre not read the Khalistani signs and the bent when the capital ruckus happened, when the farm protests were happening? And
Anand,
also,
the benchmark to that will be, Anand, before you elaborate on that, Anand, the benchmark on that would be, out of those 300 blacklisted, how many are still with the government, how many are favorable to India, and how many are still, let's say 80-90% if they are with the government of India, if they have reformed, it was a good step. Let's be very clear about that. And if 5, 7, 10, 15, even 20% are still rogue, they can again be put back into the blacklist. You have to do these experiments over and over. But these are good experiments and they've paid dividends.
But has that check been done? No, but Ramnik Mann, has that check been done?
Because he sided with India.
No,
Ripudaman Malik was killed because he sided with India. He changed sides from being a Khalistani to being a pro-India.
So what I am trying to tell you is,
he was killed.
When Ripudaman Malik was killed, the alarm bell should have been ringing at that time. When Deep Sidhu came out and these Khalistani elements were going on ground, but the alarm bell should have been rung.
Again, this is Justin Trudeau and Jasmeet Singh. They're collaborating together to encourage Khalistanis in Canada, North America and other parts of the world, which is troubling us here. But the point is, can Bhagwant Mann not rein in this Amritpal? That is the question. You have the forces at your base.
But I am not providing. One minute, Ramnik Mann, please understand this.
Let the governor rule come
please
into
understand
Punjab and settle things down.
Let me put this on record here that I am not providing cover fire for anybody. I started with the fact that law and order is a state subject. So I am not pulling any punches with anybody. The fact is that there are decisions which were taken at multiple levels, which have allowed things to cascade on ground. Now, if the current government, Rajinder Kumarji, the allegation which is being made is that the current government in the state is giving cover fire or open protection to these elements. But this now no longer remains a law and order issue.
Yes, it is.
What we are seeing right now, Rajinder Kumarji, it's a national security issue. Do we want to see a repeat of what happened in the 80s? If we don't, then we have to address it as a national security issue.
Yes, Anandji, it is a national security issue. And the present government in Punjab, if not if it is not involved directly, it is so indifferent and incompetent that it cannot handle this situation. And I think if Kejriwal has even an iota of something in his heart for India, then he bloody well should go to the Home Minister and the Prime Minister and tell him, sir, please help me in handling Punjab. And give some free hand to Punjab police. I can tell you this Amritsar company will disappear within 2 days from the scene. They will be sitting somewhere comfortably in Nabha jail or Sangrur jail. It is not impossible. This is not the stage when we can. Let me tell you, I have spoken to Punjabis and the Sikhs and the Hindus in Punjab for 7 years when I was there. The first thing they used to say, Anandji, you will be surprised that people used to tell me, sir, ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਚੋਰ ਬਣ ਜਾਓ, ਡਾਕੂ ਬਣ ਜਾਓ, ਕੁਝ ਬਣ ਜਾਓ, ਪਰ ਖੜਕੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣਨਾ. And today this, you think that these people will allow their children to join this type of PDF? No, I am not sure.
Right. So if that is if that's the case, that's the larger sentiment. Who are these people who have turned out in such large numbers and they are using the Panthic way? And they're misusing it. They are actually misusing it. Why did the Sikh community? There are a lot of questions that come to mind. When the capital ruckus happened, there were so many people who were not Sikhs, who dressed up as Sikhs, and they were carrying and dressed up as Panthiks, and they came back and behaved as if they are Nihangs and they are Panthiks. But they were not. Why did those people not be were they not caught, and why were they not exposed? Why did the community itself not come back and openly come out and condemn all of this? Now, these are things which we have discussed time and again. Kamal Soi wanted to come in. Yes, Kamal Soi.
Anand, this started even when the campaign was happening. I tell you, when the election campaign was happening, SFJ, Gurpatwant Singh Pannu from Canada, he openly supported this Bhagwant Mann government. And they said that we will support arm when they come to the power. I tell you, before this, in the last previous elections, Kejriwal went to Khalistan supporters' residence in Moga, and it started from there. They always, these kind of elements, they find a soft corner in Bhagwant Mann's government. That is the reason this situation has arisen now. And I tell you, one minister in this present government, he was part of the 26th January. What happened in
no, but Kamal Soi, let me ask you this. You are talking about everything that you are blaming that the Aam Aadmi Party did or did not do, Arvind Kejriwal did or did not do, Bhagwant Mann did or did not do. I am asking you, what is it that was done to counter this narrative? What did the SGPC do? What did the Sikh community do? What did the Punjabis do? What did the people of Punjab do to ensure that this narrative is quelled? Did the community and people openly tear off any posters of Bhindranwale or any posters of Khalistan, any posters of this one? People, did they step out and say, no, this will not be allowed?
This is not a mass movement. What happened today in Ajnala, this is the outcome of the soft corner for these kind of elements. I am not saying this is the mass movement and this is the movement of the Punjabis or Sikhs per se. Sikhs are always against.
So if they are against, sir, and I buy your point, and I believe that. I believe that this is nothing but a 5%, 10% headache right now, but the remaining 90% have to quash this too. Along with the fact that if the state is not doing it, then the people have to take matters into their own hands and they have to turn around and say, we will reject you, we will get you out. We gave you the mandate, we'll get you out if you allow this to happen in the state.
Let me explain you now. What is happening? There is a hell lot of unemployment in the state of Punjab. When Bhagwant Mann took over, he made a statement. I will make Americans or British come to India and look for jobs. And the drug issues, the youth is getting into the drugs, and drugs at all-time high at this moment in Punjab. So we have to look at all the angles.
But all of this has not happened overnight, Kamal Soi, and this responsibility is collective. State, center, intelligence, narcotics, every department, NIA, every department, every wing has to open its eyes and say, everybody is responsible. आपको पता है सारे बॉर्डर एरियाज में राजेंद्र कुमार जी नार्कोटिक्स फैल रहा है, तो क्या कर रही है बॉर्डर सिक्योरिटी फोर्स? इज इट रॉन्ग टू आस्क दैट क्वेश्चन? क्या कर रही है लोकल पंजाब पुलिस वहां की, उस एरिया का पुलिस वाला वहां क्या कर रहा है, क्या कर रहे हैं वहां के लोग, कैसे इतना चिट्टा फैल गया वहां पर? So is that a wrong question to ask? It's not
but
happened overnight. It's happened
No,
over the last decade. It's happened under the Akali rule. It's happened under the Congress rule too.
But don't you think that this type of, the police getting beating, around 50 people's head has been broken today and they are admitted in the hospital. I tell you, this kind of demoralization of police never happened in the history of Punjab. This is the first time this kind of police is
then
demoralized.
let the Punjab police
is
let
a
the
very
Punjab
important
Punjab
force.
police ko saap to nahi sung gaya? Is the Punjab police coming out and
I do
saying
not
that our
know what
people
is
should not be
happening.
treated like that? Is the Punjab police openly turning around and telling its home minister, this is not what you are supposed to do? Do your job properly? I'm asking you, what are the people doing? If you are saying everybody sitting on the chair who are all elected representatives, right? They were all elected to give governance, good governance. If they are not doing it, it's the people who have to question it. Are the people stepping out and questioning? Ramnik Man, agree, disagree. And my questions are also to the centre. Why is the centre keeping quiet? This is a national security issue.
Now, if you look at the center issue, center
Anand,
has
you
always
don't
said that
expect-
we will deal with these elements very strongly.
Where have they dealt with it?
Sir,
Where have they
Now,
dealt with
last
it?
time
I
Where
checked,
have
my
they
name
dealt
is
with these
Ramnik
elements
Sir.
in the last 8 years?
And
Where have they dealt with these elements in the last 8 years, sir? 8 साल में क्या
last
किया है?
8 years,
नहीं
this
नहीं
situation
नहीं
didn't
सर,
happen.
जो सवाल पूछे जाने चाहिए वो पूछे जाएंगे. जो 8 साल में करना चाहिए था किया क्या सर?
Anand
किया.
Sahab, this kind of situation never
8
happened in
साल
the
में
last 8 years.
8 साल में क्या
Last 10 months,
कनाडा
the
से
last-
कितने ऐसे खालिस्तानी एक्स्ट्राडाइट हुए हैं? 8 साल में कनाडा में कितने ऐसे खालिस्तानियों को पकड़ा गया है? 8 साल.
I
No,
tell
no,
you-
questions have to be asked. 1
Zero.
minute. 1 minute, Ramnik
Yeah.
Man, please.
Zero.
Yeah.
I got to wind up after
Zero.
this.
See, you don't expect Punjab police to produce a Sam Manekshaw who would walk up to the Prime Minister and cross question her. So I feel for Gaurav Yadav and I feel bad for the Punjab police. They're getting a beating from the hands of these goons on the roads, and not just on the roads, in the premises of their own police stations, for good's sake. So I feel for them, and I think this DGP Punjab and other senior officials should show some spine. They should show some spine and face up the Chief Minister and tell him that what you're doing, sir, is wrong. As a Home Minister,
Sure.
you need to protect the law and order situation in the state, which has gone out of hands, which is, in the words, Anand, in the words of their own former IG, who's a sitting MLA, Kamar Vijay Pratap, he says that the law and order situation in Punjab has collapsed under Bhagwant Mann. So this is coming from their own MLAs, number one. Number two, now you said how many people have been extradited from Canada over the last 8 years? 0. Now, since when has this situation deteriorated? Like I said in my opening, post the departure of Captain Amrinder Singh as the Chief Minister of Punjab, Chani coming in, and then, all sorts of, politics playing its role. And then the tipping point was Bhagwant Mann under the patronage of
drugs,
Arvind
narcotics,
Kejriwal.
gangsters.
The administration has gone
Gangsters and this
berserk.
support
There is
for
nobody in
Bhindranwale
charge of Punjab, Anand.
has been allowed
Who do you
even under
blame?
the
There
Akalis,
is no
sir.
in charge of Punjab.
It has been allowed under the Akalis.
You, sir,
it was
try
looked
and
away.
answer
They,
the Akalis were keeping these
they turned
elements
a blind
under
eye to
check
it in the Congress
because
party
they were
rule.
always
Now the AAP cannot
using
control
the
it.
Panthik card
This-
for their political
This
advantage.
is now.
The
it is now-
SGPC and the
My
Akali Dal
simple
had been
point, sir,
using
is-
the hardliner
My
Panthik card
simple
for their
point, sir,
political
is
advantage.
this is not
That
just
was the
about a
mobilizing
state or a
force
Suba or one police
behind
station,
them.
sir. This is about Bharat. And when it comes to Bharat, there is no compromise. If Bharat
Of
is going to
course
get
it is
hurt,
about Bharat.
if Bharat's people
It
are
is
going to get
about
hurt,
Bharat,
then
and it has to be dealt with an iron
and
fist,
this
Anand.
also,
There is
sir,
no doubt about
this
it.
also, sir, is also about a handful of rotten eggs maligning or coloring or broad brushing an entire community, the most patriotic community of our country that has sacrificed its life and blood and people over
Anand,
centuries,
these
if
handful
not a
are
millennia,
becoming
sir.
too much. Actually, they are growing in
them getting
number.
broad brushed, and
They
that
are
should
growing
not
in
be allowed.
number, Anand. They are no
If
longer
Bhagwant Mann and the
handful.
Aam Aadmi Party can't do it, then the centre has to step in. The centre has to do it, but this should not be allowed again.
They must, yes.
This should not be allowed again.
You are right. They
that
must.
man,
The
that
centre
man,
should
and these
intervene.
rabble
The
rousers
governor
should be
should
seen
take
running
control.
for their lives with their legs up, with their pants up, and then running out on the street saying, "Never again will we do this." That is how they need to be treated, and that has to be done in our country because this should not be allowed, sir.
Yes.
This is not good for us. I have to
Yes.
wind up on that note. Thank
I
you very
agree
much.
with you.
Thank you very much. Quickly moving on, ladies and gentlemen, to the other big issue that we wanted to highlight. Noting that he comes from a family of bureaucrats and that his goal had been to become a secretary. External Affairs Minister Subramanyam Jai Shankar, in that podcast interview with Smita Prakash of ANI, recalled the time his father, Dr. K. Subramanyam, was removed as secretary. He actually said that he was the first secretary to be removed when the Janata Party government exited and Indira Gandhi came in. Now, defense production by former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi soon after she came back to power in 1980. Now, he was Secretary Defense Production at that time, and that he was also superseded during the Rajiv Gandhi period with someone junior to him becoming the Cabinet Secretary. Now, before we tell you more about Dr. K. Subramanyam, first let's listen into what his son, Dr. Jayashankar, had to say.
In 1980, he was Secretary Defense Production. In 1980, when Indira Gandhi was re-elected, he was the first secretary that she removed. And, he was the most knowledgeable person, everybody would say, on defense. He was also a very upright person. Maybe that caused a problem, I don't know. But the fact was, as a person, he saw his own bureaucratic career in bureaucracy actually kind of stall. And after that, he never became a secretary again. He was superseded during the Rajiv Gandhi period for his, somebody junior to him became cabinet secretary. So it was something he felt. We rarely spoke about it, but it was obviously something which must have been inside him. So he was very, very proud when my elder brother became secretary. In my case, he passed away in 2011. At that time, I had got what you would call grade 1, which is like a secretary rank ambassador. I didn't become secretary. I became after he passed away. But for us, at that time, the goal, you could say, was, okay, we must become secretary.
Now, Dr. Jayashankar's statement has not gone down well with the opposition. Now, taking a jibe at the foreign minister, Trinamool Congress's Rajya Sabha MP Jawahar Sarkar invoked K. Subramanyam's remark on the Gujarat riots. The Trinamool Congress MP said, as Jayashankar's father K. Subramanyam said, Dharma was killed in Gujarat 2002 riots. Those who failed to protect innocent citizens are guilty of adharma. Rama would have used his bow against the Asura rulers of Gujarat. TMC MP Jawahar Sarkar, referring to EAM Jayashankar, said, shame on son serving Asura. Congress spokesperson Supriya Srinate also lashed out at Subramanyam Jayashankar for his remarks and said, you may attack anyone, but remember your father's words and that Jayashankar's father had wisdom and experience. So who was Dr. K. Subramanyam? Born in January 1929 in Tamil Nadu's Tiruchirappalli, Subramanyam K. Subramanyam went to Madras Presidency College and subsequently entered the Indian Administrative Service. Subramanyam was described as the doyen of India's strategic affairs by none other than former Vice President of India, Hamid Ansari. Considered to be India's most reputed strategic thinkers, Dr. K. Subramanyam is also one of the key architects of India's security policy doctrine. In 1999, Dr. K. Subramanyam was appointed chairman of the Kargil Review Committee, which was set up by the government in the aftermath of the war with Pakistan. The committee recommended changes in the structure of Indian intelligence services and creation of a chief of defense staff, and this recommendation was adopted in December 2019 by the Modi government. In 1998, under the Vajpayee government, Dr. K. Subramanyam was appointed convener of the first National Security Council Advisory Board, which drafted the country's draft nuclear doctrine. K. Subramanyam had also strongly criticized the Vajpayee government's decision of merging the posts of Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister and National Security Advisor (NSA). In 2004, Manmohan Singh's government bifurcated the two posts. So Indira's sacked father is Dr. Jayashankar's remark, and this has sparked big debate. Let's go across to two gentlemen who were not only present at that time, but who are also aware of K. Subramanyam and have also closely watched Subramanyam Jai Shankar. Ambassador G. Parthasarthi, who he himself has told me is about 13 years junior to K. Subramanyam ji, and also Lieutenant General D.B. Shekhar, defense expert, and who was very, very closely involved with Bharat strategy doctrine. So, with your kind permission, General Shekhar, I'll start with Ambassador Parthasarthi. Ambassador Parthasarthi, a lot of criticism coming in Dr. Jayashankar's way. So everybody is quoting K. Subramanyam in one particular dynamic. Dr. Jayashankar mentioned another dynamic. Where do you stand?
Let me tell you where I stand on Subramanyam and the Jai Shankar family. We have known each other since the 1940s. And K. Subramanyam worked with my father when my father was Chief Secretary in Tamil Nadu. He was a brilliant defense strategist, have no doubt. He was the first person who advocated very publicly the need for India to go nuclear. He earned the wrath of the Americans, I recall, at that period of time, and though later people accuse him of being pro-American. He earned the wrath of the Americans. The Americans cut off our nuclear fuel supplies, but Subramanyam advocated standing firm. Yes, to me it was inexplicable why Mrs. Gandhi, did not follow through with him. There were a lot of people with a lot of jealousies, and that's the way the bureaucracy works. But it was, to my mind, a very unfortunate decision, because in terms of defense strategy, in historical terms and in real terms, in technical terms, Subramanyam was a great believer in developing our own defense industry. As I said, he stood up for our nuclear position. And in fact, to tell you the truth, I was in Washington at that time. Subramanyam was then chairman of the Joint Intelligence Committee, and his position was at variance with that of the Morarji Desai government, who wanted it settled in negotiations with the Americans. He was very, very clear. There should be no surrender on this basic right. And later on, he became Secretary Defense Production. Beyond that, it's inexplicable to me. Though I worked as Rajiv Gandhi's spokesman, as to why Subramanyam didn't make it, but he was not disappointed. He stuck to his task. His sole task, his aim in life, was seeing India becoming self-reliant and going nuclear. It was an ideal. I tried to set myself out, but I followed him. And today, we are having a situation where we are now returning to forming a self-reliance in defense. Thereafter, I must say one thing, that he did very well when Mr. Vajpayee appointed him for the Kargil Review Committee. I testified before him as High Commissioner as to what went wrong in our detecting that intrusion so late. And it was a very business-like report. There was no question of friendship interviewing me. I was grilled as the High Commissioner. And that was the way the relationship was. And it was very unfortunate. I could never understand why a man of his caliber, and I don't know the reasons.
So there are layers within layers, but
let me tell you one thing. One thing was, at that stage, he offended the Americans with his very strong position on nuclear weapons and weaponization. I don't know if that was the reason, who did it, why, but not. But that was the reality of the time.
But amidst all of this, one thing stands.
He was a role model. I stand by him.
So he was incorruptible. He was very, very convinced that Bharat needed its own defense infrastructure. It needed to be Atmanirbhar in defense, and it needed to follow a nuclear policy doctrine, because he knew and he had foreseen Pakistan and China converging and forming a nuclear axis in this region. General Shekhar, where do you stand? So ideologically, he may be aligned or not aligned, but from a thought process as far as where India should be, was there clarity? And do you see that clarity translate even into the sun? How would you see the political jibes that have come against him?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Narasimhan.
Namaste, sir. Jai Hind.
I know Mr. Parsarthi for a long time. We have worked also together, and what he said is absolutely right. What he said is absolutely right. The reason being, what we have gone through in last so many years, because of such stupid decisions taken by some people, the entire nation has suffered. The entire nation has suffered. I'm sorry, I'm sounding a little blunt, but there is no harm in speaking the truth. There's a saying in Urdu, वक्त ऐसा भी देखा है, तारीख की घड़ियों में लम्हों ने खता की, सदियों ने सजा पाई. When you commit a mistake deliberately, the entire nation, entire generation keeps on suffering from time to time. And that is what is happening. And what the Honorable Minister has said is absolutely right. He mentioned about the Kargil Review Committee. I was handling Arunachal Pradesh against the China as a Lieutenant General. At that time, the Kargil war was going on. And we know exactly what has gone wrong and who went wrong. But the point is, that is not the issue of our discussion in this debate. Or this. We have to see, when people take some decisions, maybe against some people, they always tend to commit a mistake which is not in the national interest. And that is what has happened. And that is what a person of the caliber of Mr. Subramanyam, he was my guru. I was a student. In fact, when I was doing the National Defence College course, I met him twice, and he said, why don't you become part of this IDSA, which is known as Parikar IDSA. That was his caliber. And so therefore, seeing him from very close possible distance, understanding his philosophy, his vision, his forthrightness, I don't think when people say he was removed, it was the right decision. Supersession is not the thing. When you find somebody who is much superior to you, you try and use your political power. You try and use your political power to do away with those people. And that is why I said, lamho ne khata ki, sadiyon ne saza pai. And that is why we are suffering. We are not trying to come out. We are trying to come out. We have come a long distance. We will continue to be doing well. Today, as Mr. Parsarthi said, India is recognized throughout the world.
Yes.
India is taken for seriously. There are people in Russia, there are people in Ukraine, there are people all over the world who are seeking the intervention of a Prime Minister and Prime Minister of India. Prime Minister of India. So India's name is going throughout the world. And if we had the honor of having Mr. Subramanyam, things would have been totally different by now. We wouldn't have to sign these treaty with China. We wouldn't have to sign this peace and tranquility agreement. Again, today I think somebody has talked that there's a suggestion from China to have a peace and tranquility. We have signed fine agreement and they have violated all the things. This is what Mr. Subramanyam used to say. Don't ever trust. Don't ever trust Chinese. They will betray you. And along with them, he also said, never trust Pakistan.
So let's look at it not from the political prism, but from the national prism and the national security doctrine prism. And was there an error of the moment, which perhaps we are paying the price for over decades? Lamho ne khata ki, sadiyon ne saza pai, as very poetically General Shekhar put it. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time. I have to keep this short because I have paucity of time. I have to move on for the moment, but I really appreciate your time. So that's where people who have worked with K. Subramanyam, who've seen Subramanyam Jai Shankar also grow, have to say, let's put the nation first and do what's in the interest of the country. And that's what we all should endeavor to do, especially in this Amrit Kal that the Prime Minister calls it. Better late than never. We're going to take a very short break. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, when all his riches turned a knot and he got caught with all his brands, Sukesh Chandrasekhar broke down the tears as his luxury is lost and he weeps. We get you that video right here on the right stand. Stay with us.
No, I'm not there in that flight. I'm on the way to the airport because I'm taking the next flight. It's 3:30 flight to Raipur.
Sure. So, Mr. Tagore, we do know that there are several Congress leaders, the entire delegation, in fact, who decided to deplane along with Pawan Khera. They're now sitting there on protest. For how long is this going to go on?
We need to understand that there is no FIR, there is no warrant that's shown it. They are not shown any kind of proof of any kind of document also. They just inform that your bag is, you have to identify the bag, and Mr. Pawan Khera was requested to come down, and then illegally they told thing that CISF and They told that Delhi police wanted to have a word with you on some other case. Then they told them that the FIR is there and UP Assam police has come. So these kind of things inside the airport, if this flimsy ground, the way the government is misusing the agencies, whether we are going towards Hitler Raj, that's the question we need to ask it. Whether it's inconvenience for the passengers, it is inconvenience for everybody. Why this government is hell-bent on doing these kind of cheap things? I am unable to understand that the CISF is involved, Delhi police is involved, Assam police is involved. Means what else? Without a piece of paper, without a warrant, without any kind of notice. Where we are heading for it? This is very unfortunate, and we have to be responsible, and the government has to behave the way. They can't be so arrogant the way they are thinking that they are going to be permanently in power. They can't misuse every agency.
Sure, but Manikam Tagore, do you think the tarmac is the place for raising these kind of questions and raising this kind of protest? There are other passengers, there are other people in this country that are being inconvenienced. This was the time by which the flight should have landed in Raipur.
Well, that's the correct thing. That's a good question you are asking. But the problem is that if you have to ask the CISF, CISF work is to protect the air tarmac. And their duty is to protect the CISF. CISF can't be just playing in the hands of Mr. Amit Shah and Himanta Biswa Sarma. They can't be just buffoons of these people. They have to behave. They have to, without a warrant, without a this thing, anybody can ask you that get out of the flight and you are going to be arrested by the Assam police. Without any warrant, without any kind of piece of paper. Where we are heading for it?
Sure.
We are very much pained that all the passengers are Congress delegates. The problem is that every flight to Raipur is full of Congress delegates now.
Sure. Manikam Tagore, do stay on with me. I have BJP's Anila Singh also with me on the phone line, and I'd like her to respond to the allegations that you're making. And Anila Singh, if you heard Manikam Tagore, he says, yes, unfortunately, some people are being inconvenienced. But what about the misuse of agencies which is taking place under the Modi government, especially against the Congress party?
What misuse of agencies? Pawan Khera is the same lunatic spokesperson of this confused party who tried to humiliate Narendra Modi's parents, father, and the other time he was insulting his mother as well, and his leaders do the same thing. And they are trying to gain some sort of sympathy when any agency is trying to do their job. Is he sort of a bloody VIP or what? That he cannot be deplaned? What does he think of himself? He might be some sort of a pampered worker of this confused party, and Rahul Gandhi might be loving him and caring him, but it doesn't mean that he is pampered by the agency itself. So if he has done something wrong and agencies know that they have to question him, they have to interrogate him, then definitely agencies have got all the rights to deplane him.
Sure, but Pawan Khera, Anila Singh also coming out and saying that it's been over 1 hour. The police officers that deplaned me are saying wait for the competent authority or the DCP to come, but nobody has come and questioned me. So it's really not the Congress party that is holding the other passengers to ransom, but it is the Delhi police. How do you respond to that?
See, Delhi police is not going to pamper him. He is no VVIP because of his being there. That means that police is not able to work, or whole of the system of this country has come to full stop because the lunatic Pawan Khera is being deplaned. The thing is, whenever the agencies have to, whatever they have to, and when the officer arrives, he has to ask certain things from Pawan Khera, they will do it.
Sure. So Anila Singh and Manikam Tagore, thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. The political war of words between the Congress and the BJP only escalating, but unfortunately it is all the other passengers on board the Delhi-Raipur flight that continue to be cooped up in the aircraft on the tarmac here at the Delhi airport for over an hour and a half. But let's listen in to some reactions coming in from the Congress party.
ये इतना बड़ा अपराध तो नहीं है कि आप प्लेन्स उतार लें। और जहां तक कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी के लोग शुरुआत तो इन्होंने की, सोनिया जी के बारे में पता नहीं क्या क्या कहा, और राहुल जी के बारे में क्या क्या नहीं कहा, हमारे पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री मनमोहन सिंह जी के बारे में क्या क्या नहीं कहा, लेकिन हमने तो कोई कार्रवाई नहीं की। और शुरुआत तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी की तरफ से हुई। यदि ये मर्यादा खुद नहीं लांघते, प्रधानमंत्री जी ने क्या कहा कि अमित शाह जी ने क्या क्या, उनके राष्ट्रीय नेताओं ने क्या कहा, सारे लोगों ने हमारे राष्ट्रीय नेताओं के खिलाफ में ऐसे सदन के भीतर और सदन के बाहर भी इन लोगों ने बात कही है।
और रणदीप सिंह सुरजेवाला जी उनके साथ जा रहे हैं। इन लोगों को असम की पुलिस लेकर जा रही है। ये वही असम की पुलिस है जब निहत्थों पर वार होता है तो चुप रहती है। मैं पूछना चाहती हूँ, उन्होंने कौन सा ऐसा जुर्म किया है कि इनको यहाँ पर डिटेन किया जा रहा है और असम की पुलिस हरकत में आ रही है? ये तानाशाही नहीं तो और क्या है? ये बात करते हैं अभिव्यक्ति की आजादी की। ये आपकी अभिव्यक्ति की आजादी की असलियत है। और अगर आपको एक्शन लेना ही है अब शब्दों पर, तो खूनी पंजा पर, कांग्रेस की विधवा पर, जर्सी गाय पर, 50 करोड़ की गर्लफ्रेंड पर रेनकोट पहनकर नहाते हैं हमारे प्रधानमंत्री को कहने पर पहले नरेंद्र मोदी जी को गिरफ्तार करिए और फिर किसी के खिलाफ एक्शन लीजिएगा। निजी आक्षेप आप लगाते हैं, नेहरू का सरनेम क्यों नहीं यूज करते जैसी ओछी बात भारतीय संस्कृति के खिलाफ आप बोलते हैं, और हमारे नेताओं को यहाँ से अरेस्ट करके ले जा रहे हैं। एक स्लिप ऑफ टंग हुआ।
Back on, ladies and gentlemen, with some visuals that will not only shock you, but you will also wonder, how did this happen inside the jail premises? Conman Sukesh Shekhar, who is lodged in the Mandoli jail, is accused in a multi-crore laundering case. And today, the conman who looted many broke down. He was weeping in front of the officers as a surprise raid resulted in a seizure of his luxury items. Have a look at the video. He's actually searching through his things. He gets up, there is a sudden raid. There you go. He's sitting there and they come in and they're suddenly raiding and they come and do the raids. And after some time, you'd see Sukesh Shekhar standing in the corner of his cell as jailer Deepak Sharma and other Central Reserve Police personnel carried out the surprise raid. Sukesh was shocked to see the officers inspecting his cell while he was standing there helplessly. Now, after the raid, the officers seized some of Sukesh's prized possessions. A Gucci slipper worth 1.5 lakh rupees. 3 jeans worth 80,000 rupees were found from the alleged conman's prison cell in Mandoli jail. So that's what's been seized. Look at that. It's an apparel there which is there inside jail. Imagine, are our jails so vulnerable that you throw a wad of cash and anything and everything is possible to be brought in and kept? But the picture of the day was him standing here. There you go, that's the picture. Standing in one corner and he is weeping. He's weeping, literally like a schoolboy who's been punished by the teacher saying stand in the corner or stand up on the bench, and the child starts crying. That's exactly what you're seeing Sukesh Shekhar do. Sukesh Shekhar was arrested for duping 200 crore by the Delhi police. He had allegedly duped Aditi Singh, wife of former Fortis healthcare promoter Shivendra Mohan Singh. Sukesh even has more than 20 cases registered against him across the country. Adding to the list of cases against him, the conman was arrested by the Enforcement Directorate in a fresh money laundering case linked to cheating former relegate promoter Malvinder Singh's wife. As per the Enforcement Directorate, Sukesh Shekhar has made some shocking confessions. Sukesh has revealed a lot to the Enforcement Directorate. So what all has he revealed to the Enforcement Directorate? First confession, Sukesh posed as Sun TV owner, Jayalalitha's nephew. The second confession, he gave $150,000 to Geraldine, who's a brother. Jacqueline got designer bags, shoes, cars, etc. That's another confession. Sukesh gave 15 lakh rupees to Jacqueline's brother in Australia. She got designer bags, shoes, cars, jewels, etc. Sukesh paid Advaita Kala 15 lakh rupees on the actress's behalf. So all of this is what he has revealed to the Enforcement Directorate. But let's go back to those pictures, ladies and gentlemen. He has got a taste for the finer things in life and especially brands. He likes the badge and he's also paying big money. His slippers are 1.5 lakh rupees. His jeans are 80,000 rupees. And this is all inside jail. So he's throwing the money around and continuing to lead a lavish life. Had it not been for the surprise raid, wonder what else would be running around there, going on in those jail premises. It's happened in Tihar, it's happening in Mandoli, and that is the real cause for concern. We get a move on here on The Right Stand. Now here's the CNN News 18 exclusive. A day after we told you how Pakistan cut its foreign ministry's expenditure by 15%. Now CNN News 18 getting you yet another news break from the cash-strapped Pakistan. Pak Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has said that he has requested the army to cut its non-combat expenditure. Not just that, the Pak Prime Minister further said that he had requested the judiciary to cut down on expenditure. Shortly after this, Sarkar of Shehbaz Sharif has approved 85 crore rupees spent on judicial refurbishments and repair work. Shehbaz Sharif said, I can only request the judiciary, although the government has the power, but I still can appeal to them. Although the austerity measures announced by Shehbaz impressed the cabinet, government officials, the Pakistani Prime Minister only requested the army to cut the budget. उनसे मैं दरख्वास्त कर सकता हूँ, अपील कर सकता हूँ. So the executive head, the Prime Minister of the country, is going to request the army. He's not going to tell the army. Shehbaz's appeal to the army raises this question whether the Pak government has any authority over the Pakistani military establishment. Listen into what Shehbaz said.
अदालत उज़्मा से मैं दरख्वास्त कर सकता हूँ ना, और यानी यही मरवजा तरीका है. गो कि गवर्नमेंट का कोई इख्तियार है, लेकिन ये एक इदारा है जिसने इंसाफ देना है, तो उसको मैंने दरख्वास्त की है. मैं समझता हूँ कि मेरे हवाले से यही मुनासिब बात है, और सूबों को मैंने कहा है. अब जो अस्करी अदारे हैं उसके बारे में जो आपने बात की है, उस हवाले से मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि हमने उनसे राब्ता कायम किया. उन्होंने पॉजिटिव हमें जवाब दिया है कि जो गैर जंगी खर्चात के हवाले से इंशाअल्लाह वो एक पॉजिटिव उन्होंने दिया, जो अब आएगा या वो खुद ही उसका ऐलान करेंगे.
Staying with Pakistan, more news coming through here on The Right Stand. There is trouble for this cash-strapped nation. Hawala networks are re-emerging in Pakistan, which are strengthening the grey market. Sources are telling your channel that smugglers and non-taxpayers are also encouraging these grey markets by not using the proper channels and by not paying taxes. The deals in the grey market are happening at 290 rupees against a US dollar. So that's the exchange rate in the Hawala market or in the grey market. Not just that, according to ground intelligence reports, and these are all inputs coming through our investigations editor Manoj Gupta, ground intelligence reports suggest that cash-strapped Pakistan has not got any mechanism or plan to stop money laundering and terror financing. The TTP and Afghan smugglers are freely moving millions of dollars from Pakistan to Afghanistan, which may be a big lifeline and also relief for terrorists and of course a big threat to international peace. Sources say that Pakistan government should act and take actions according to their promises to the global money laundering and terrorist financing watchdog FATF before the watchdog itself steps in, as after some time this data will be publicly available and may create huge problems for Pakistan. So it's not just the money laundering aspect and this grey market, thriving grey market that is now on ground, but also the fact that these jihadi tanzeems are getting bolder and bolder. And the military support, the establishment support is also bare in front, with Hafiz Saeed, Sayyid Salahuddin, all seen on public with military protection. That's the big statement, ladies and gentlemen. But this is the military establishment and the terror outfit or the terror tanzeems. This is what they are doing. Those who have looted Pakistan, those who have used this territory, this area for all nefarious work. This is this lot. What are the common people of Pakistan saying? Let's get to that. This is the Awam, the common people. They are very upset with the current situation in Pakistan. And there are many in Pakistan who feel that Prime Minister Narendra Modi should now take over Pakistan. And only Modi can solve the current crisis that Pakistan faces. These are voices coming in from Lahore. Listen it.
In 1947 समथिंग जब हमारा पाकिस्तान आज़ाद हुआ इंडिया से, अंग्रेज़ों की गवर्नमेंट थी, मैं कह रहा हूँ अल्लाह ना करता ऐसा होता ही ना. सारा पाक हिंद एक होता, आज आपको टमाटर 20 रुपए किलो मिलते, चिकन 150 रुपए किलो मिलता, पेट्रोल 150 रुपए लीटर मिलता आपको। अब हमारी बदकिस्मती नहीं है कि इतने अरसे के बाद हमें मतलब एक अल्लाह पाक ने पाकिस्तानी मुल्क दिया जिसमें मुसलमानों वाला सिलसिला ही कोई नहीं है, चक्कर ही कोई नहीं है मुसलमानों वाला। तो इससे अच्छा तो वो मूंदी है, यकीन माने उसके लोग उसे कैसे मानते हैं और वो कैसे अपने लोगों के साथ संसेर है मोदी। हमें मोदी मिल जाए, हमें तो नहीं नवाज शरीफ चाहिए, ना बेनजीर चाहिए, ना हमें इमरान खान चाहिए, कोई भी नहीं, जनरल मुशर्रफ भी नहीं चाहिए हमें सिर्फ प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी चाहिए जो इस मुल्क के टेढ़ों को सीधा करे, इस मुल्क की मैशियत को ऊपर ले। दुनिया के 5वें नंबर पे आ चुके हैं इंडिया वाले, आपको पता है। बिल्कुल तैयार हैं मोदी साहब, ग्रेट मैन क्या कर रही हैं, मोदी कोई बुरा इंसान थोड़ी है।
They want Modi there in Pakistan. Let's shift focus to Sri Lanka and what's happening. Now, this is again a CNN News 18 exclusive. Again, Manoj Gupta getting us these inputs. This is coming in from Sri Lanka. The IMF is reviewing a debt loan to Sri Lanka. China has been caught off guard as the IMF has stepped up a US $2.9 billion bailout for Sri Lanka. China's loan to Sri Lanka remains in place and there are no indications that China will change course in response to Sri Lanka's request to restructure its debt in order for the nation to accept its conditional IMF bailout. However, sources say that the IMF has decided to continue with cornering China in Sri Lanka because the IMF will not take responsibility for Chinese loan repayments and will only guarantee loan repayments for those in the IMF agreement and not others. Now, sources say if the standoff continues, China will have to find another way to recover its loan amidst fear that Lanka will be forced to give them more immovable properties instead. So this is where China now gets trapped. The Paris Club officially backed the debt restructuring process and Sri Lanka is now waiting for financial assurances from China in order to secure the IMF's bailout. China has been adamant about doing so, claiming to be Sri Lanka's true friend. In reality, China is actually caught between Western and Sri Lankan interests and is unable to decide its stance. Now, according to a regional analyst, China will restructure its debt after the IMF program and demand full payment after others have made concessions. However, the IMF will not agree to it. Now, that means punishing Sri Lanka by delaying the IMF program while waiting for China to resolve its internal issues and provide reliable financing assurances, which is a wrong course of action. What China has said is that it can offer a 2-year moratorium, which means giving loan to settle a loan, which the other donors have dismissed. Interestingly, at this moment, Chinese envoy to Sri Lanka, Chi Zhenghong, who has returned from China after celebrating the Chinese New Year, went about distributing dry rations to the people living in the south and trying to make inroads. But will all of this work for China? Well, we have to wait and watch. That's all we have time for in this edition of The Right Stand. Stay with us. Brass Tacks follows.
Good evening, hello and welcome to Brass Tacks. I'm Anusha Soni. Congress leader and its spokesperson Pawan Khera was detained and eventually arrested at the IGI airport here in the national capital. He's been released after an interim bail was granted by none other than the Supreme Court of India. But it's an interim one only till Tuesday. Now, the arrest by the Delhi police was on the request of the Assam police that had registered an FIR against Pawan Khera under various sections of the Indian Penal Code that pertain to hate speech, unobjectionable or restricted speech. Now, Mr. Khera had made some objectionable remarks against the Prime Minister and his father, for which he says he will apologize unconditionally. The Congress party has cried foul, called the action dictatorial. The key question we debate tonight is whether this was sheer high-handedness or should the law draw a line when it comes to political discourse in our country. Political discourse that continues to lower its standards with each passing day. First up, a special report.
Drama, detention, dharna, right on the tarmac of Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport. Dozens of Congress leaders launched a protest next to an Indigo plane after party leader Pawan Khera was asked to get off the flight which was headed to Chhattisgarh's Raipur.
मुझे भी नहीं मालूम, मुझे कहा गया आपका सामान दिखवाना है, मैंने कहा मेरे पास कोई सामान है ही नहीं, हैंड बैग है, बोले नहीं एक बार आप आइए, कंफ्यूजन है। नीचे आया तो कहा कि आप नहीं जा सकते, अभी डीसीपी आएंगे आपसे मिलने।
Extraordinary scenes unfolded as nearly 50 Congress leaders, who were all supposed to board the Raipur-bound Indigo flight, sat on dharna on the tarmac. The move forced the authorities to deploy a large number of CISF jawans near the tarmac. Soon, Pawan Khera was detained by the Delhi police and subsequently arrested by the Assam police in connection with his controversial remarks against Prime Minister Modi.
आप देख रहे हैं कि कैसे इस बस में पवन खेड़ा जी को और रणदीप सिंह सुरजेवाला जी उनके साथ जा रहे हैं। इन लोगों को असम की पुलिस लेकर जा रही है। ये वही असम की पुलिस है जब निहत्थों पर वार होता है तो चुप रहती है। मैं पूछना चाहती हूँ इन्होंने कौन सा ऐसा जुर्म किया है कि इनको यहाँ पर डिटेन किया जा रहा है और असम की पुलिस हरकत में आ रही है।
नहीं, मैं ही।
The Congress called the arrest harassment.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी बहुत डरी हुई है। ये पहली बार ऐसा हो रहा है। इतना बड़ा कोई मामला नहीं था जिसे प्लेन से उतारा जाए और जो कांग्रेस के राष्ट्रीय प्रवक्ता के साथ इस प्रकार से व्यवहार करना, इसका मतलब है कि बहुत डरी हुई है।
The BJP said nobody is above the law.
देश के यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री को गाली देंगे, उनके परिवार के सदस्यों के बारे में अपशब्द कहेंगे और उसके बाद विक्टिम कार्ड खेलेंगे। इतना ही कहेंगे, जनता इनको बहुत मजबूती से जवाब देने के लिए तैयार है।
As political tempers ran high, Congress's Abhishek Manu Singhvi mentioned the matter for urgent listing before a Supreme Court bench headed by Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud.
Well, there's a lot of drama that unfolded in the courts as well. Let's take you through what transpired in the Supreme Court today, which granted interim relief to Mr. Khera. You had the Additional Solicitor General, Aishwarya Bhati, appearing for the Assam Police. She said in court that Khera had used derogatory remarks against a democratically elected Prime Minister and the police had ample reason to act against him. Khera's counsel and also a senior Congress leader, Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, argued that he had apologized. Mr. Khera had apologized for his remarks on the Prime Minister and charges against him do not require any kind of arrest. The bench further asked, what was the word he used? To this, Mr. Singhvi said, and that's interesting, that he did play with words and that should not have been the case as per me. He refused to repeat what Mr. Khera said. Now, after hearing both the sides, you had the Chief Justice of India, Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, who agreed to the Congress request to club all the registered cases against Mr. Khera in Uttar Pradesh and Assam. There's a notice that has been issued and next hearing will take place on the matter. Pawan Khera was granted an interim bail till Tuesday, when the Supreme Court will hear the case next. The Chief Justice of India also said that there has to be some level of discourse. We are protecting you right now, but they warned him. Mr. Pawan Khera has been released on a bail bond of 30,000 rupees. Well, that's the procedure. Let's also listen in to what Mr. Pawan Khera had to say earlier.
बिना एफआईआर की कॉपी दिए, बिना मुझे कोई नोटिस दिए, हवाई जहाज से उतार कर इस तरह से गैरकानूनी रूप से मुझे गिरफ्तार किया गया असम पुलिस द्वारा। न्याय प्रणाली पर मुझे पूरा भरोसा और आस्था है, जिसकी वजह से आज मेरी स्वतंत्रता की रक्षा हुई है। संघर्ष जो हमारा है इस देश को बचाने का, संवैधानिक मूल्यों को बचाने का, मेरे नेता राहुल गांधी जिस निडरता से अपना संघर्ष कर रहे हैं, मैं उनके हाथ मजबूत करने के लिए एड़ी चोटी का जोर लगाऊंगा।
Well, was this action warranted or this is a clear case of high-handedness? Let's take this question to our full panel joining us on the broadcast. We have Mr. Rajiv Pandey, who's a BJP spokesperson, Dr. Shama Mohammad, who's the Congress spokesperson, Mr. Javed M. Ansari, who's a senior journalist, Rajat Sethi, a political analyst, and Mr. Kapil Sankla, who's a senior lawyer from the Supreme Court of India. Mr. Rajiv Pandey, I'm coming to you first. Was this a case that really demanded that somebody should be deplaned, deboarded and then arrested? When Mr. Khera said that he is ready to apologize, is this not a case of high-handedness by the authorities?
First, you understand that neither BJP nor any government person has filed this FIR. The people who are very fed up the kind of abuse Honorable Prime Minister is getting from the Congress party and other opposition parties have filed one FIR. At the moment FIR is filed, then inquiry takes place and then the sections are applied. As per those sections that now police has taken action. Finally, Khera has got interim bail from Honorable Supreme Court of India, and while hearing that case, Honorable Supreme Court of India has observed that this is not the way to behave. So first you understand, it is not like that they said, no, it is such a false case that I am giving, because Supreme Court can
No, Mr. Pandey, I want to see this at the outset of the debate, that even the lawyer for Mr. Pawan Khera, Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, did not think that it was appropriate to repeat what was said against the Prime Minister. So here on this debate, I think we all can unequivocally agree that the manner in which it was said is not warranted, it was not welcome. And that is why you also have Mr. Khera, who has said that he is ready to apologize unconditionally. The question to you is about rather the procedure that was adopted and whether it was proportionate. While you're absolutely right that, whenever an FIR is registered, the police goes ahead and takes action. But one can't ignore the political will which is required to take an action like that.
I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah.
Anusha, the issue is, this is not the first time that Congress party is doing. I think on your channel or some other channel, one of the panelists or one of the spokesperson who was earlier so-called a journalist also, used to call a BJP spokesperson Nali ka Keeda, Nali ka Keeda, Nali ka Keeda 10 times. Because Congress has lost completely. People are not supporting. They have lost everything in this country. So they have become abusive. BJP and Modi ji has done nothing. Now there are some people, and this abuse is so bad, Anusha ji, in UP and Bihar. If you say this to anybody, something more would have happened. What Pawan Khera ji is saying? He is changing the name of father. That means he is not abusing the father of Honorable Prime Minister, but he is abusing mother of Prime Minister. Understand? And then he is saying, no, it was a slip of tongue. Today Shashi Tharoor is saying, no, it was a majak. And then if you see that clip, he is saying, people are laughing at this joke. Is this a joke? You are abusing Prime Minister. I am saying, don't abuse anybody. And as far as Congress is saying, no, BJP has started, Congress has started, this whataboutery will not help. I am only saying, we all should respect each other. And there is no question. And as far as the police has taken action, now law will take its own course.
Law has taken its own course. You have an interim protection coming in from the Supreme Court. Dr. Shama Mohammed, objectionable statement from Mr. Pawan Khera.